Happy Monstering! And welcome to another episode of My Singing Monsters Live, your one-stop shop for everything to do with My Singing Monsters. I am one of the hosts on the show that you see all the time. I'm Monster Handler Matt. There's nothing that exciting about me, but I'm very excited to say that I'm joined today by a special co-host. Your first time on My Singing Monsters Live. I would like to introduce everyone to Monster Handler Yevgenia.
Hello.
There she is. And you are an artist.
I am.
At Big Blue Bubble, and you've worked on... You think so. You think you're an artist. You
You're
are an
never
artist.
Sure. You can be sure.
I am confident that you are an artist because you have produced exceptional works. You've worked on many monsters. You worked on many of the Fairy Island monsters. Recently did some design, did some animating on them. So we're so thrilled that you're joining us here for this episode 62 of My Singing Monsters Live. But we have some housekeeping items to take care of first. So you may notice that there's no Monster Handler Sydney, there's no Monster Handler Eric, there's no Monster Handler Michael. They are all away. They, if you can believe it, they are working at a trade show, an exciting event advertising one of Big Blue Bubble's newest games, Foregone. They are not being monster handlers this week. They are being arbiters in training or something of the likes.
Awesome.
But yes, it is still very awesome. But as a result, we're a little short-staffed, so I'm going to be doing my best to manage everything that's going on. So, one of the exciting things that's happening this week is that I am going to be running the giveaway. So how does the giveaway work? Well, every week here on My Singing Monsters Live, we give away an item of interest related in some way to the exciting events of the week in My Singing Monsters. And the same is true this week. And what is it? It's a special surprise, Evgenia, and we're going to get to that later. But in the meantime, how it's going to work is you need simply put exclamation point giveaway.
Exclamation point giveaway.
That's right, exclamation point giveaway in the chat that I will be monitoring with my own eyes. And I'm going to be selecting, this is very exciting, I am going to be selecting the winner myself. At random, I'm just going to scroll, I'm just going to look, but I'm going to grab it at random, and the winner of today's giveaway is going to be getting something very special, but we'll announce that at the end of the program. So, something that I started last week with episode 61 of My Singing Monsters Live was an On This Day segment. And today is no different. We are going to take a look at what was happening on this day in My Singing Monsters history. Very recently, in fact, on this day, as I bring up the graphic, woo! It was Epic Deej that came out in 2019.
Oh, wow.
Well, I should say on this day. It was available for the first time on this day. It actually, if my calendar is correct, came out a day prior. But you know what? Close enough. Here on My Singing Monsters Live, we say that's a close enough.
What a great day it was.
Yes, it was a great day. Epic Deej. Many people know this already, but it's worth, of course, mentioning that Epic Deej's appearance connected in some form, an allusion, a tip of the hat to an old android that appeared in a certain film about battles taking place in outer space. I won't drop the name, but you all know what I'm talking about. Another exciting thing, of course, that happened this week in My Singing Monsters was the release of Epic Clamble.
Woohoo!
The second to last natural epic monster to be discovered. It is available to buy or breed at level 9 on both plant and Earth islands. And needless to say, the critical reception, the feedback that we've received so far on Epic Clamble's discovery has been very positive. We're so thrilled that you enjoy Epic Clamble. That's not the only thing exciting thing that's happening this weekend. We also have a breeding bonanza that is running. Of course, that means 500% increased breeding chances for single element ethereals. That's Ghast, that's Grumpire, that's Humbug, that's Geode, that's Rebro. And we've got up to 50% more in diamond packs, specifically 50% more in the treasure chest pack. All other packs give you 25% more and 50% off Gassed. Why Gassed, you might ask? Well, you know, Cats, I think, is still in theaters. It may soon be leaving theaters, but there's no better time to celebrate all things feline. You see the connection there that yeah. So I was trying to put something together there. And then hopping over to My Singing Monsters Dawn of Fire in a completely different direction, we've got... Oh, I think I hear an echo. I'm going to get rid of that echo. There we go. Headed back to My Singing Monsters Dawn of Fire, we've got Young and Adult Chorister, 50% off on both Party Island and the Continent.
That is a great deal.
It is a good deal, and there's no better time to act than getting it. And you know what? If you're short on the diamonds, all you need to do is take advantage of the amazing special offer that we have on diamond packs in Dawn of Fire. 40% more in all packs. What a great deal. But you know what? That's all nice and well. That's all fun. That's some good stuff. I apologize if there was a little bit of an echo happening in the back. Hopefully you didn't hear it very much. I'm so nervous without my support team here to help me with the tech side of things. But Yevgenia is here. She's my support. And you know what? The way you can support me this week is by being the official asker of our Quick Questions segment. Dun, da, da, da. There it is. There's our little graphic. Quick Questions. Okay, I'm going to bring up the document and you can begin asking me those questions. All right, ready when you are, Yevgenia. I'm ready.
Okay, and the first question is from Cobbox. Does Epic Clamble have a third set of eyes on the other side of its head, not visible in-game? In other words, does it have 4 eyes total or 6?
A great question, Cubwax. It is my belief, although I've never been around to the other side of a Clamble to see, that Epic Clamble only has 4 eyes, but those eyes are able to rotate all the way around its head, all together, not individually, but it has sort of a vision that it can sort of... Yes, exactly. It's not unlike the Google Earth cars that we're driving around with those spinny cameras capturing a 360 view of everything. But there are, in fact, only 4 eyes in Epic Clamble's head. So there you go.
And the next question is from An Myang. If the monster world is built on pacifism and friendship, and there never happened anything like a real battle, where does the epic and rare Clamble take inspiration for their role-playing games? Or do we not know something?
A very interesting question. Yes, it's true that the monster world is founded on pacifism and friendship, and there hasn't really ever been an outbreak of aggression or of combat or anything like that. Perhaps the most violent and upsetting thing that's ever happened in the monster world is the continent breaking apart to become the natural islands that we see in My Singing Monsters. That's about it. But in terms of role-playing, recall as well that the monster world is powered by the spirit of imagination and the spirit of possibility. So it doesn't surprise me to imagine that both Rare and Epic Clamble have huge imaginations that they can harness in order to do their role-playing, and when they're being, you know, the heroic Rare Clamble and the sort of fearsome, villainous Epic Clamble personas that they play as, it's mostly them, I think, exchanging witty banter. There's not a lot of blows exchanged or not a lot of fisticuffs happening. It's just them mostly trying to out-pun each other, something I'm sure that Monster Handler Eric would appreciate.
So they're having fun.
They are. They're having fun with it, and I think they're sort of using their imaginations to set up these scenarios where they can be adversarial one to another. But in reality, they're good friends, as all My Singing Monsters characters are.
And that brings us to the next question from Mike. What do colossi look like underneath? Do they have feet, tentacles, fins, granny slippers?
Granny slippers.
I vote for granny
yeah,
slippers.
Granny slippers is definitely a good option. You know what? The colossi, great pluralized form of colossals there, Mike, are so big that it is physically impossible for a human being such as ourselves to take it all in at once. You can only ever be looking at the head or at somewhere else on the body. And so because of that fact, in sort of an absurdist turn of events, you can never be confident that the feet that you're looking at actually belong to the colossal's head that you see. So basically, you look away, and it could be part of some other gigantic thing. We know that there are titans roaming around the monster world as well, not just the colossals. But of the options presented, feet, tentacles, fins, granny slippers, we know that certain monsters like, or certain colossals, I should say, like the Air Island Colossal and the Water Island Colossal, have sort of props. They have goggles and other accoutrements. So, exactly. So I think I like your idea of granny slippers. Someone's got to have granny slippers in the mix among all the colossals. I don't know.
How about all of the above?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All things. You know what? I like that answer. That answer works for me. All right. What's next, Evgeny?
Okay, the next question is from Barbara Punkelman. What's the element seen on the floating rock on Stonehenge?
An element seen. Oh, this has been a controversial spotting of fans for a long time. They believe that, like the other pieces of Stonehenge that rotate around and that have different elemental sigils printed on them that glow, that there is a mysterious 13th element floating around Stonehenge. I don't want to be a downer. I don't want to be a big disappointment, but instead I'll frame it as a positive thing. This is in fact not an elemental sigil, but just a pattern that appears across different areas of the monster world. It resembles, if you will, sort of a spiral that concludes in a straight line, almost like the top part of a question mark. And you see this design repeated across different elements of the monster world, but specifically those things that are related to magic or the mystical in some form or another. I know that the Wonder Mine has some of those etchings on it. There's a couple of decorations in My Singing Monsters Dawn of Fire that have that sort of design on them as well. It's not unlike the Greek pattern that you see that repeats and sort of doesn't tessellate, but it repeats around, the edge of buildings, of architecture, and also of at least one tablecloth that I've owned in the past. So it doesn't necessarily represent an elemental sigil, but it is a pattern that you see a lot throughout the monster world.
Well, I think it was a great question because I was asking the same thing.
Were you?
Yeah.
Well, it's important that all these questions get asked so that we can have these answers and we can all sleep at night. Because I know that you were going to have a restless night tonight if you didn't have the answer to that question.
Thank you so much, Matt.
Oh, you're welcome. What other questions do we have for today?
Okay, the next question is from Sam Cropper. Since Psychic Island is where Space Island once and the Fairy Island is where Cloud Island was, is it possible that the Magicals had something to do with the Outer Island's disappearance?
Yes, the disappearance of the Outer Island, still a mysterious event in the monster world. We have confirmed, as you said, that Space Island blipped out of existence, but that the Titan Krovlaft is now there, and the Facade Titan is where Cloud Island was, so that means that we have Party Island and Cave Island still unaccounted for and still sort of unknown, uncharted. The maps and the destinations of the journeys of how to get to those outer islands was always a bit of a mystery. Basically, the teleporter during the era of Dawn of Fire had tech in it that you just sort of like specify where you wanted it to go, and it didn't really print out instructions for you. It just sort of whoop, you were there. So that's why it's difficult. We're having a difficult time, the Fire-led expeditions, in recovering the sites of the outer islands. But in terms of if the magical monsters had something to do with it, all evidence suggests that the magical monsters came after the division of the continent around the same time of the Outer Island disappearance. I don't think that the magical monsters were responsible for replacing or for sort of moving in on the areas where the Outer Islands once were. I think it's more likely that the monster world, seeking to fill some sort of void where these islands once were, just sort of naturally compelled certain titans like Krovlaft, like Facade, to sort of move into those areas.
I see.
Yes, that's my theory. Now, it's not definitive because we're still learning a lot about the magical class. We only, of course, have psychic and fairy monsters as representatives of that class, but we know that there are more magical elements out there, but we'll have to see what they are and what they mean, what they're doing.
You'll have to look into the void.
Yes, they will have to stare into the void and hope that the void does not stare back at them.
Oh yeah. So the next question is from Sinister Smiles 02. Will the natural island titans ever reform the continent?
A quick terminology correction there, Sinister Smiles. It's actually colossals that formed the continent, but I can understand the confusion. Both colossals and titans are these gargantuan figures in My Singing Monsters lore. The difference between them is that titans are a lot more like just huge singing monsters, whether they sing or not, and colossals are actually these powerful spirits of creation that helped to form the monster world in the first place. So it's actually the colossals that inhabit the various pieces of the continent that became the natural islands. With respect to whether or not those colossals will reform the continent, I think they're quite happy where they are. You know, they've been slumbering for so long, they've been peacefully napping, reaching out to each other in quiet contemplation across vast distances, that I think that, you know, if you were having a nice sleep, would you like to be disturbed? Would you like to be shaken awake and going, hey, we're putting the band back together, we're going to push everybody together?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. I agree. That's not really my idea of a good way to end a long existence's rest. But never say never. They are quite far apart though, so it would be like Ents moving in Lord of the Rings, where it takes them a really long time to talk or to get from one place to another. You really have to be patient. I'll name drop Lord of the Rings, but I won't name drop Star Wars. I'm a strange person. But I've got good answers. I hope. Do you think they're good answers?
I love your answers so far.
Well, thank you. See, you know what? You're right. You are being very supportive this episode. Who needs those other guys? Now they'll be back next week. But I'm very pleased to have you on the show. All right, a couple more questions, and then we'll move on to the hotly anticipated Stump of the Week. Okay.
So the next question is from Banana is Loveball. Do Galvana and Woobox share the same orb?
Do Galvana and Webbox share the same orb? Certainly they look alike, and they are combined, they are connected in some way by the electrical power, that supernatural element. I don't think they're exact same, but I believe one was created in the image of another. So they are connected, but I don't think that they're the exact same, since they exist simultaneously. I believe that they are distinct. They are separate. They are not the same. And one last question.
The last question. From Ruben V. Are the purple and orange prismatics toe jammers based on Bisoners?
A very good observation, Ruben V.
Very good indeed.
Very good. I think that you are correct. I think there is a little bit of an homage there to one of the most recently released fire species in Dawn of Fire, the Bisoners. Certainly, the purple prismatic toe jammer has a familiar-looking nose, and the orange prismatic toe jammer has familiar-looking horns and number of eyes. So I think that yes, and I can confirm that I believe the same artist was involved in the creation of both of those entities. So I think that there's a nice sort of full circle thing happening where one is a reference to the other. And now they can exist forever in a cycle that like a hoop that never ends. It'll be very exciting.
In the same universe.
Exactly, in the same universe. But hailing sort of from an attached universe, the prismatics, of course, coming through the prism gate into our dimension for the very first time. Very exciting stuff. Okay, those are our questions for today's episode, but we've got one more question that I know everyone's going to be very excited to see me do, and that is, of course, the Stump of the Week. Stump of the Week. Okay, and because we're sort of going a low-tech route this episode, we have decided to print off the question. I'm not looking. To print off the question and Yevgenia will read it to me, and I will have an opportunity to answer it.
We have a great question
All right.
from Dragon Year 1234.
Okay.
How many ethereals, including rares, can float, fly, or levitate without wings?
Okay, we're talking about beings that are lifted off the ground, both rare and common. Okay, so here's my count. It's going to be Ghast, rare Ghast, Humbug, rare Humbug, Gelbilly, rare Gelbilly, Wisp, rare Wisp, rare Kazillion. It has wings. Oh, who's floating? Who's an orb? I don't think we'll count rare Geode because its iPods are floating, but it is. Oh no, yeah, Geode, yes, and rare Geode 11. Can you read the question one more time, please? Yeah.
How many ethereals, including rares, can float, fly, or levitate without wings?
Without wings.
Ethereals.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to edit my answer a little bit. Without wings. Okay, so Humbug has wings. So we've got Ghast, rare Ghast, Gelbilly, rare Gelbilly, Geode, rare Geode, Wisp, rare Wisp. I'm sure I'm missing one, but my answer is 7.
Well, you missed the rare dragon.
Oh, all right. I'm just calling up the graphic that everyone loves to see. I have in fact been stumped. I've been stumped. Well, you know what? There's always next week. Now that we've got 1 week, I feel like the whole experience is sort of crystallized in this moment of, Matt, could you pull it off? And I only forgot one though. Is that correct?
Well, I'm a little confused.
Okay.
Because the correct answer, it says 7. But it doesn't.
But it's different than the list that I gave.
Yes.
Should we count that as a success? It's all up to you, Evgenia. I'm at your mercy. But I do have the graphic queued up just in case you decide to be merciful.
Sorry, Matt.
The stump is preserved. Oh my goodness! You know what? Rules are rules. I should have just said my number and then not given any explanation.
True.
I should have just done it in my head. But that's life. Okay, so that was Stump of the Week. Now let's move on to a segment that I know you're excited to take a look at, Yevgenia, because it's going to be our Monsterpieces. All right, so here we go. From Abstract Horchata, we have a beautiful image of Bisonarus. We were just talking about Bisonarus in the questions.
And it is very beautiful. I love the composition on this piece.
Yes, I like the fact that the backgrounds that they're sitting on sort of echo the proportions and the coloration of the standard and Emperor Bisonarus that are depicted in the image. Well done, Abstract Horchata. Next up, from Bug, we have Furcorn. Very sweet.
Very.
I like the style of the white outline on this monster. It really makes it pop against the background because a lot of the same colors used.
And I love the expression.
Yes, this
right
Furcorn.
on the leaf.
Yes, it's yes, and the leaf is sort of curling inward there. Next up, from Jeffroyo, a very sweet picture of a Ghast.
Beautiful colors.
Yes, could they have known that Ghast was going to be discounted this weekend? Maybe, if they'd cross-referenced other years of my Singing Monsters special offers and promotions. But even if they didn't know, it's perfect to feature it today on today's episode. Next up, from Legendary Boyet, a Furcorn, another Furcorn.
So cute.
A different
Look at
style.
Those eyes.
Yes, those very sweet eyes, not pointing in different directions. This Furcorn sort of, you can tell where it's looking.
Yes.
But I love the expression on it, a very sweet expression on that Furcorn. Very nice.
Very
Okay,
kind.
next up from Louise S., some Whimsies.
Whimsies.
From Fairy Island. Now, interestingly, This is a group of 5 whimsies, and usually there are only 4 whimsies. So a 5th has snuck in. Which color is it? Well, that's up to you, because you could print this off and you could color it, and it'd be different colors each time.
I love this idea.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
And
Oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
oh, I just gonna say how detailed those eyelashes are. I love the shapes.
Yes, and I like the shading as well, the fact that they're using those lines and not
For sure.
all connected. From Mr. Man 244, here is a felt creation of a Wobox.
Beautiful.
Got the colors correct, and you know what? There's a lot of moving parts on a Wobox. You've got the joints that sort of hold their electrical limbs in place. You've got their sort of gauntlets where their spring-loaded hands appear, the feet, and I love the expression. This Wobox looks like it tumbled onto the bed, but it had a soft landing, so it's still sort of shocked, but mostly happy. Next up, from Sailor Good for Your Soul. This art is good for my soul. This is a wonderful persona. I like the fact that it's just a stick for the neck. You know what? It's like a whimsy sort of, where it's like a balloon stuck on top of something else.
I like how the lines for the hair are so flowy.
Yes, it looks like this. It's almost like a photo that was caught in mid hair flip. I remember when I used to have enough hair to do a hair flip. Do you believe me?
No.
No, you shouldn't. I'm always up to no good. Next up, from Pierre Chauvet, we have, a very sweet octopus. But surrounded by some bonkers that are there saying, "Excuse me, can we please knock our heads into you to make some music?" An octopus, perhaps unsuspecting, is it's sleeping. I can see the Z's, the Z's as we say in Canada, rising from the octopus. So maybe it's in for a rude awakening, literally, from those bonkers.
Yep.
Very cute. Love the background as well. I always comment on the background. That's my thing. From Zhao668, here we have a very nice young Ent Brat saying, "Hello."
That is very cute.
A very reptilian
I love the
face.
expressions,
Mhm.
the details on the tree parts.
Yeah,
And
the line work on the trunk looks absolutely great. And then one more monster piece for today, and that's from Zodiac, and it is a sweet little pom-pom. Very cute. It's almost like there's something reflected in that pom-pom's eyes. Will we ever see what it is, or is it just a highlight? We'll never know.
well, maybe next week.
Maybe
spot
next
art.
week, Zodiac can tell us if this pom-pom is gazing in delight at something specific, or if it's just enjoying itself. Well done. Those are all of the monster pieces for this week, episode 62 of My Singing Monsters Live. But we've got a couple of things that we need to take care of before we conclude today's episode. First is a huge thank you, Evgenia, for helping me host today's episode. Your insights, your humor, it was great. I'm sure everyone agrees. So thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, it was.
I enjoyed it.
It was wonderful to have you here. So, as promised, I am going to go and pluck a winner from today's episode of My Singing Monsters Live directly from the chat.
I'm excited.
Yes, you should be. Evgenia, you're working on something right now, as you always are at Big Blue Bubble, that I think everyone is going to like very, very much. But
It is a top secret.
it is a top secret thing, and I don't want to give any more information than that. But I've seen the work that you're doing. Oh, it's very exciting.
Thank you.
I can't wait for everyone to take a look. So I have selected my winner, and the winner of today's episode is going to be receiving, surprise, surprise, an epic clamble.
That is amazing.
Very exciting, of course, because there's only a limited window that you can buy or breed Epic Clamble. It continues through this weekend, as I said. But I would like everyone to join me in congratulating, and I love this username, Hubermint Horito, or hurry to on winning today's epic Clamble giveaway. Congratulations. Well done. So please write in the chat your BBB ID /friend code, and that's how we will be delivering your epic Clamble to you. I'll be keeping an eye out for that in the chat, because in this new time slot, in this new more streamlined format, I've been trying to get the prizes out same day. It's a big goal, but someone's got to do it, Yevgeny, and I'm very excited about the opportunity to get that prize to people as soon as possible.
I think it's a great idea.
So congratulations again, and we finish every episode of My Singing Monsters live with our composer piece. This week is no different. I thought, what composer piece would go well with the release of Epic Clamble? Well, I liked this one from Luster Island by Puppet Ghost, because the luster, it's sort of a description of the shiny metallic parts that you might see on a Clamble. So please enjoy this composer piece submitted by Puppet Ghost. We'll see you next week for episode 63, and until next time, happy monstering!